about trap game? Does that thought into your mind?
What's a trap game?
Trap game?
What that mean? I played in Carolina, bro, for a long time. I'm not familiar with trap games.
That's Dante Jackson. I don't know what a trap game is. I played in Carolina. My friend, you were the trap game.
Right.
Well, we got the 49ers. Then we got Carolina, then the Eagles coming up. You, sir, you are the trap game. Dorin, you played in the NFL for a long time. Trap games exist at that level?
Yes. Yes.
Would this qualify as a trap game?
I've been wrestling with this. I would say no, because it's a division game, and it's such a short week, and you don't have that much time to actually think about it. You just got to go play. So, like a trap game, I remember what was it, 2016, whenever the Steelers went down to Miami, and everybody was throwing up. You remember that game? Was it 2016?
Yeah, I think it was 17.
It was 17. And the Steelers were doing, I think, pretty well at the time. And I remember I just started a podcast, and I was like, this is a trap game, because the Steelers are going to overlook. They're going to not think about the weather. They're going to be, it's Miami, and this team could beat you, and they're going to overlook, because I think the following week was probably like the Ravens or something like that.
I think you were right
game.
first. I think it was 16.
That's a trap game. This, to me, is not really a trap game.
It was 16, sorry.
16?
Yeah, and they had the Patriots coming up next.
Right.
Boy, did you nail that.
Right.
You're right. That was when Lawrence Timmons is throwing up, and they lost 30-15.
Yes.
Before taking on their bugaboo guys, the New England Patriots.
That was a trap game. It's usually like, it's just so weird right now because of the short week. It's a division game. Like, you have to win it. A trap game is whenever it's like, we are going to win this game no matter what. Like, this team stinks. Like, hey, next week we got to play the Bengals, or next week we got to play the Raiders, or we got to play the Eagles, or we got to play the Chiefs. Like, if that was next week, I could say that this was a trap game. But now they know that they have to win this game.
If the Bengals were great, then it would fit the bill a little bit more.
Yeah.
Ravens, 2-8 Browns. Wow, really
Right.
good Bengals team. Bengals stink too.
Right.
Sitting there at 4-7. Let me see if I can sway you though, Dorin. Steelers 1-7 on the road in Thursday night football games under Mike Tomlin. And they are 10-10 in their last 20 after a Ravens game, which actually isn't that bad. I think Pony said, or Mueller said yesterday, that they're 12-8 in their last 20 games after the Bengals. So it's not really all that different. I do think it fits the bill as a trap game because you are so emotionally high after the last two games, really. The Washington game comes down to the wire. It was a measuring stick. Then you got to get right back up. AFC North kitchen against a really good football team and maybe the league's MVP in Lamar Jackson. And now it's, we did it. We went 2-0 against those teams. And here are the Browns. A place where they've also gone 1-4-1 in their last 6 on the road. It's really become a house of horrors for them. I do think it's a trap game. It doesn't mean that I think they're going to lose. I am nervous. But how about Pony's take yesterday? I don't usually like to do this. I mean, we do like to bounce off other shows, and they like to bounce off our shows. Pony said he'd give him a pass if they lose this game, that he would jump on the air on Friday and not crush them. I did that earlier in the year. It was the Colts game.
Mm-hmm.
They started 3-0. They played 3 teams that we now know to be good. You're going on the road. You did it with your backup quarterback, and I said, if they lose this game, I'll give them a pass. Every team in the NFL has games like that. Well, now, and I'm serious about this, if they lose to the Browns, I think it will be as mad as I've been after a loss, maybe in years, because I think this team's different. This team is a Super Bowl contender, and I think about Dallas. I think about Indianapolis. Less so Indy, more so Dallas. That was the quote-unquote Tomlin game. That's the game that now, when you have the whole picture, they never should have lost. At home, NFC opponent, prime time, no Parsons, no Lawrence.
Justin Fields.
I know you had Justin Fields, but he was really good to that point. And you're a play away from winning it. Again, these games happen, but because that one already happened, you can't afford for another one to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think right now your sights need to be set on being the number 1 seed in the AFC. Your sights need to be set on winning the AFC North. And if you lose this game tomorrow night, you're going to need to make up for this game against a better team later on. Like the Washington win, I didn't know about, and I said at the time, if you get it, that'll be like found money. But I also said it might be the most important non-division game the rest of the year because I thought it was the most winnable non-division game the rest of the year. Well, now that you have it, you kind of get greedy. If you want to be the number 1 seed, if you want to definitely win the AFC North, you have to beat Cleveland and you have to beat Cincinnati because if you don't, you got to go on the road and do something that you never done and beat Philadelphia, which I don't feel good about no matter how good the Steelers are. The Steelers won the Super Bowl in 2008. They got their asses kicked by Philly.
Mm-hmm.
They got sacked 9 times in that game. Ben was bleeding. He's bruised. He's battered. You ain't winning out there. It's not happening. So you got to take care of the gimmies. And this should be a gimme. I will be irate tomorrow if they lose this football game, Dorin. Irate, I tell you.
Well, I don't.
On Friday, I guess.
I won't give them a pass at all if they lose this game, which I don't think that they will. And like I said yesterday, good teams, they show you that they're good. They don't tell you that they're good. But I would honestly give them a pass if they lost to Cincinnati the week after. I would. Because it would feel like, okay, like you're on this 4-game win streak.
6 if they win this week.
With Russell Wilson, sorry.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
With Russell Wilson. Yeah, what 1, 2, 3.
It'd be 5.
5. You'd be on a 5-game win streak with Russell Wilson. So you would think that you would come down to earth at some point and you would give up a lot. So like Cincinnati, they're a better football team that you can, in my opinion, afford to lose to because they're better than I think that their record shows in ways where they're explosive. Like they can go out there and they can beat you in a lot of ways. They just haven't gotten it together. Like they just haven't done it and executed, and the record shows for that. But Joe Burrow can beat you.
Sure.
Jamar Chase can beat you.
Absolutely.
T. Higgins can beat you. Jameis Winston shouldn't be able to beat you. Jerry Jeudy, who's now the number 1 receiver, shouldn't be able to beat you.
No.
This defense that has given up for the Browns. And, Myles Garrett got called out basically by Lima, their morning show host. Yesterday we played the clip. It wasn't even seen during the game against the Saints. They get whooped 35-14 against the Saints. This team should not beat you. So I think that they go in and take care of business, and I would be okay the following week if they did lose to Cincinnati because they have better talent.
A texter brings up that the Browns did beat the Ravens a few weeks ago. They sure did, but I agree with you. That was we're circling the wagons game.
Yep.
Deshaun Watson is no longer our quarterback. Those guys couldn't possibly have believed in Watson. I don't think the coaching staff believed in Watson. I think they liked the guy. I think they respect him as a teammate. I think they rally around him, and they were all bummed out when he got hurt, but I don't think they were bummed out when Jameis Winston took over the reins. So it was our last stand, basically. And then they got whooped on the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Like they rallied, they fought. And Amari Cooper's gone. They're selling off assets. And I don't think they have the drive, the want to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers the way that they probably need to win this game. The Baltimore game also, Baltimore had a lot to do with not winning that game.
Correct.
3 drop picks. Rashad Bateman drops what would have been a game-changing long toss down the field from Lamar Jackson. If the Steelers do not beat themselves tomorrow, they should be able to win this game. And I'm at the point where I know they're good. We don't need to break down every single game and then extrapolate what they did in that game and say, would it have been good enough to beat Buffalo? Would it have been good enough to beat Kansas City? They've already beat 5 playoff teams. They don't need to convince me that they're good. What they need to do now is accrue enough wins to win the AFC North and maybe get the number 1 seed in the conference. So if they win tomorrow 12-10, I'm fine with it. Because how many times do we see every week in the NFL, teams lose to teams that they're not supposed to, they don't play well, and they get the L. I'm even fine if they don't play well, but you got to get the win.
Yes.
Get to 9-2. You get to 9-2, you're winning this division. It's going to be really hard to gack it up and you're still going to have a shot at the number 1 seed. But if you lose a game to Cleveland,
everything goes out the window.
That
you have accrued from the last couple of weeks.
Well, and then you're on pins and needles the rest of the year, man. Like if you get to 9-2, you're not doing that nervous math. Like, are the Ravens are they gonna catch you for the division? Or you might even for a fleeting moment, are the Steelers definitely gonna make the playoffs? Let's say you lose this game and then you lose to Cincinnati. Now you're sitting there at 8-4 and you're all nervous. Just win tomorrow night and make it easy on us, for God's sakes. Texter, I read last night Tomlin hasn't won on the road on a Thursday night since 2007. Well, I know that they're 1-7 in road Thursday night games. So you're fighting against history here, and you're fighting against recent history in Cleveland.